Well, good afternoon and welcome to the next session on UNESCO chair presentations. We've got 4 speakers here with us this afternoon. So without more ado, I'd like to present our first speaker and get started. The first speaker is Moeketsi Letseka from the University of South Africa, UNISA, who holds the UNESCO chair on ODL, on Open Distance Learning. He's a professor of philosophy of education and editor-in-chief of Africa Educational Review, a scholarly journal that is jointly published by UNISA Press and Taylor and Francis in the UK. So, Moeketsi, if you are there, I'd ask you to. I can see you, I can't hear you though.
I just unmuted.
Fantastic. Okay, if you'd like to share any presentation you have, you can start.
Can you see my presentation?
We can indeed, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me just get to the top of the slide. Right. I am, as you mentioned, I'm holder of the UNESCO Chair on Open Distance Learning at the University of South Africa. And I just need to preface my presentation with just a brief background that this is UNISA. This massive monster. It's UNISA. We are one of the mega African university. We are a distance learning university with just almost close to 500,000 students. So we are quite huge. We operate strictly online. We don't get to meeting our students, and therefore the whole idea of technology becomes very critical because we leverage our teaching, our research, our community engagement through the use of technology. Now, previous speakers South. We are also a country that has been classified by the World Bank and other international agencies as the most unequal society. And the image that I have here is the image of a report that was produced by South Africa's think tank and data managing body called Statistics South Africa, which painted a very horrible picture of the very clear disparities between the rich and poor. Almost 75% of the population in South Africa are poor. They are living below the breadline. And that is the kind of clientele that UNISA services. We are an access university. Our mandate is to provide higher education opportunities for such sections of society that find themselves in low socioeconomic status, family households. And so my intention here is to share with you. Oh, I look like I've jammed now. My slides are not moving. Yeah, there you are. Right. So it's to share with you, first of all, and I'll run this very quickly. I know I don't have enough time. I created the UNESCO chair in 2018 through developing a proposal that I submitted. But I set out very clear objectives. One of it, main objective was that we're not going to operate outside UNISA. Our role would be to produce open distance learning research that is responsive to the UNISA's vision and South Africa's vision. But I also, my apologies, yes. But I also created a vision where I wanted to position the chair as a hub within the southern region where we would coordinate ODL research. And I needed to turn it into something like a space where we can create a supportive and enabling environment for people to come congregate, share their ideas, but also contribute towards development through open distance learning. Now, this is what I do. The screen that you see here is a screen that epitomizes the work that we do. At UNISA, the driver of open distance e-learning research driven through the chair is through a very structured and progressive research series seminar. And in this seminar, what I do, I invite experts from all over the world. These are members of my network. These are part of the group of people that are involved in open distance learning. There is a very strong collaborative partnership in line with the unifying tradition at UNESCO to forge North-South, South-South collaborative partnership. So I've been very privileged to bring experts from Australia, from Canada, from India, from the Netherlands, from Romania and the USA. On the African continent, I do bring people from Botswana, Mauritius, Swaziland, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, Tanzania. So we have created a very rich environment where, given the inequalities, we are trying to create collaborative partnerships where people can come in and share research with the hope that it will benefit the needy and talented young South Africans or even mature people who have missed out on the opportunities. And the second portion of that is to create conferences. To date, I started the conference in 2019. I held a very successful virtual conference in 2021, another in 2022. Let's run through the themes. The first conference that was done in 2019 was simply for the purpose of stimulating research. The second question was on mediating open distance learning in the advent of crisis. And I have to mention, just last month, we published a book, which is a collection of those papers that were presented in Britain. So we are also creating a platform for researchers to come in and read papers, and we pull these papers through and we publish them through our university press, which is UNISA Press. We just had in 2022 all things research in ODL. We are at the moment processing just over 20 manuscripts of papers that were published. Again, this will be turned into a book. So we just had our conference in August. This one was Contact. It's post-COVID. So we held the conference at one of the 5-star hotels in Joburg. We received over 80 extended abstracts, and we just issued a call. So what we are doing, we are creating a platform and a place for, in this trying, difficult times in the African continent, where we create a space for ODL research to rise. We have had the honor of having Professor Tony Bates as a speaker. In the previous conferences, I had Professor Sanjaya Mishra, who is the director of higher education at the Commonwealth, Professor Mahabali from the African University in Cairo, Professor Aras Besket from Romania, and the highest point was bringing in the very CEO of the Commonwealth of Learning, Professor Asha Khanna, and Ola from Oldenburg, and the lady there from Athabasca. So we have been very privileged. Right now, this year, we had the governor of higher education in Mauritius, Professor Romila Mohi. We had Professor Simmons from Canada and Professor Zelenza, who is the former vice chancellor of the American University in Kenya. So we are able to pool all these high profile people to come in and in our environment at UNISA to share the research. It's about coordination, it's about partnership, but it's about the objectives that are set out at UNISA. This is my vice chancellor, and this was in this year's conference. We brought these people, the very high profile speakers, to come in and share. And what that has done, it has created a lot of sort of spin-off networks. At the moment, the UNESCO chair enjoys very valuable collaborations with the National Open University of Tanzania. This is the picture of me where I was a guest speaker in January, invited by Professor Christine Ofuluwe, who is the director of the Regional Training and Institute for Distance Learning. But I also have connections with the University of Lagos. So the chair is a very elaborately networked center at UNISA. I work with the Institute for Open Education in Shenzhen, South China. I've just come back from Beijing in August, where I was invited by the director of information technology, UNESCO director for information technology, Professor Tao, Professor Tao invited me to Beijing to give a keynote address on the Global Smart Education Conference. So I believe we are managing, even within an environment where South Africa is struggling economically, but we are managing to forge the collaborative partnerships with fellow ODL to promote the North-South, South-South collaborative partnerships that are an integral part of the Unitwine UNISA UNESCO chair. And quickly, these are the products of the UNESCO chair. These are the books that have come out of the chair in the first term. And I'm over 60 now, I'm 66. I'm not allowed to publish solo. I'm a mentor. So what I do, I work with young and emerging scholars. I have a team of 4 postdoctoral fellows, and I publish with them. So these are the results of the work that I do. I think I'm very blessed to say I'm creating a lot of capacity. There are lots and lots of young people who are coming in and who live within 2 years. They are able to rise up the very chain to become associate professor. So it's a good thing that I'm doing. And these are the books. So I'll stop here. Basically, I think I've shared enough, and I'll be more than glad to engage in questions. Anybody else who needs my contact, the center there in Spain, Madrid, has my contact details. They can be shared, and I'm more than open for further contacts and networks. And if people want to collaborate with the chair, we are more than willing to be part of that. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity I was given. I'm very blessed. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Moeketsi. And I'm also grateful for a concise presentation. And I'm going to make the most of that to ask you a brief question, if that's all right.
Yes.
Yes. You mentioned that you're working and living in a context where a lot of students are really too poor to be able to have access to a traditional university, and therefore, by extension, a lot of them wouldn't have access to the technology they'd need to follow ODL courses. So my question is, what kind of initiatives are there at community level, maybe at the towns or other levels, sort of study centres where these students can actually go in and make use of technology?
Absolutely. UNISA is different from the many, we call them Ivy League universities, the UNISA of the Witwatersrand, and I know Professor Glenda Cox is here. I'll mention the UNISA of Cape Town, which is actually the leading university on the African continent in terms of international ratings. UNISA is an access university. Our mandate is to provide access to higher education opportunities to mature workers, people who will have missed the opportunity to obtain qualifications in a contact institution. So we service mature working people who juggle work, family, children. And UNISA has a very elaborate structure. We have campuses across the 9 provinces of South Africa, and all these campuses provide access to students. UNISA has also entered into business partnerships with a lot of network providers. So we ensure that people have access. Those students that are registered with us are also eligible for data. If you are registered in, there's an exam, there's a package of data that UNISA provides. We also have a satellite in Addis Ababa. So we work with network companies to ensure that they get a sort of subsidized business opportunity, but the idea is for them to open doors for our mostly economically underprivileged students. So we are trying to reach out and to provide access through a whole range of networks that are business that link UNISA with the internet providers and the cellular companies. So there's a rather broad business collaboration that my university enters into with the view to creating spaces for disadvantaged students not to be able to access. And we just had a conversation a short while ago on open educational resources. We are very strong in ensuring that the publications that we have, our research, is placed on the university repository where students can access it for it. I hope I've answered that.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.